San Francisco's O.J. Simpson and the New York Giants' Larry Csonka have become two of pro football's elder statesmen, at least among running backs. And yet, for better or worse, each of these living legends is being asked to accept a new role, to do things other than those things that made them famous. On a young 49er team, the sore-kneed Simpson is being called upon often as a short-range receiver. Unfortunately, he's having some minor problems, whereas Csonka, number 39, is doing quite well as a designated blocker, here burying a linebacker while a younger man scores the points. Larry Csonka doesn't have to carry the load for the Giants, for New York has assembled a sprightly group of younger ball carriers. Players such as number 33, Bob Hammond, who logged 93 of New York's 250-plus yards rushing against the 49ers. O.J., on the other hand, has to be more than a decoy. Otherwise, San Francisco tends to move in reverse. Last Sunday, a tough Giant defense held O.J. and company to 10 points. Meanwhile, second-year quarterback Joe Pisarcik solidified his starting job with another strong performance. New York's fine crop of youngsters is maturing quickly. In 4 weeks, they've lost only once, and they've outscored all but 2 other NFL clubs. For an old veteran such as Larry Csonka, it must be nice to have others who can carry the load. But while the Giants are prospering, Walt Michaels and the New York Jets have come upon hard times. Last week against Washington, Jet quarterback Richard Todd felt the Redskins' pass rush pinch. Washington choked off the Jets' big play attack and 3 times took away the football. However, it wasn't until period 4 that New York's problems took on epidemic proportions. Number 65, Dave Butts, must have heard something crack. Unfortunately, when help did arrive, there was nothing that could be done. Richard Todd had suffered a fractured collarbone and would be lost to the Jets for 6 to 8 weeks. Washington's defensive finesse flustered the Jets all afternoon. Here end Coy Bacon pinched inside, while tackle Dyron Talbert circled untouched to the quarterback. One of 6 times that Todd and number 17 Matt Robinson fell to the Redskin rush. Offensively, number 7 Joe Theismann enjoyed another fine passing day, and his 2 scoring tosses raised his season total to 8, second best in the NFC. For the Jets, it was a disaster, while for the undefeated Redskins, it was a near-perfect tune-up for their upcoming grudge match with the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas, on the other hand, had a less than artistic outing against the winless St. Louis Cardinals. Dallas seemed ripe for an upset, and the Cardinals were more than willing to oblige them. While the Cardinal defense kept Dallas out of the end zone, Cardinal quarterback Jim Hart went to work. This first quarter pass to wide receiver Mel Gray, coupled with a second quarter field goal, gave the Cardinals a 10-7 lead that carried over into period 3. There, St. Louis had a golden opportunity to salt the Cowboys away, but failed to take advantage. Had St. Louis fallen on this blocked punt, Dallas may not have recovered. But when the moment of truth arrived, number 35, Scott Laidlaw, acted decisively. St. Louis got 2 on the safety, but the Cowboys knew they'd gotten a break. Thus, in the final period, Dallas was all business, controlling the football and scoring twice in a 21-12 come-from-behind victory, one that must have Cowboy fans just a little bit concerned. Pittsburgh's Three Rivers Stadium, two unbeaten teams met head-on in a hard-hitting showdown for first place in the AFC Central. This was typical of the so-called Pittsburgh-Cleveland Turnpike rivalry that has been so heated over the years. And although the Steelers had won 8 straight in Pittsburgh, it appeared the spirited Browns, led by Brian Sipe, might salt the game away early. But penalties killed 2 Cleveland touchdown passes, including this 62-yarder to Reggie Rucker. This was a game chock full of unusual plays, like this improbable onside kick, on which Roy Gerela outran his own kickoff and recovered the ball for the Steelers. But the real zaniness was reserved for the final seconds, when on the last play of the game, and the score tied at 3 field goals apiece, Cleveland went for the marbles. Sipe hoisted a Hail Mary pass that a crowded welcoming committee anxiously awaited in the end zone. The lucky recipient was Pittsburgh's Tony Dungy, number 21, who took the prized possession and nearly weaved his way coast to coast for the winning score. It took a shoestring tackle by Dave Logan to save the touchdown as the gun sounded, ending regulation play. In sudden death overtime, the Steelers won the toss but appeared to give the ball right back when number 30, rookie Larry Anderson, apparently fumbled the kickoff. But the officials ruled the ball had been whistled dead, and the frustrated Browns had their backs to the Three Rivers Stadium wall. Chuck Noll then resorted to some unaccustomed razzle-dazzle that Terry Bradshaw later said was conceived in a hayfield. It completely fooled the Browns and easily produced the first and last touchdown of the bitterly fought game. In sudden death overtime, the Pittsburgh Steelers won the battle of the unbeaten, winning their 9th straight over Cleveland and Three Rivers, and enjoying first place in the highly competitive Central Division all by themselves. In the Astrodome, defense was dominant in a low-scoring affair that the Rams won 10-6. Houston's rookie sensation Earl Campbell was held to 77 yards, but still supplied most of the offensive excitement with an awesome display of power running that left Los Angeles defenders strewn in his wake. While Houston's record dropped to 2-2, division rival Cincinnati fell before Archie Manning's aerial show, and the Bengals remained winless. It is the worst start in Cincinnati history. New Orleans has finally provided Manning with some talented targets to throw to as number 85 Henry Childs at tight end, number 1 pick Wes Chandler, Ike Harris obtained from St. Louis, and number 83 Tinker Owens are helping Manning get off to the fastest start of his injury-riddled career. New Orleans has not been the luckiest team in the NFL in recent years, but against the Bengals that seemed to change. For with 3 seconds showing, John Leipold's field goal with an assist from the left upright was the difference as the Saints from New Orleans squeezed out a 2-point victory over the troubled and fast disappearing Cincinnati Bengals. The Saints win even Dick Nolan's record at 2-2 for the season. In Philadelphia, the Eagles founded their game plan against the Miami Dolphins upon one basic aspect: domination of the line of scrimmage. More times than not, the Eagles won these small skirmishes, enabling quarterback Ron Jaworski to pick his spots. The result was an offense that totally controlled the tempo of the game while beating a good Dolphin club 17-3. It was no accident that Miami was beaten by the same dominating style of play that once characterized their championship era, because since head coach Dick Vermeil took control in Philadelphia, one gets the feeling that the Eagles are finally moving with just such a purpose in mind. Bart Starr's Green Bay Packers have been one of the NFL's biggest surprises so far this season, a trend that continued in a most unusual way last Sunday against the San Diego Chargers. Amazingly, Packer quarterback David Whitehurst was sacked 10 times by the Chargers, but because of superb defense spearheaded by Willie Buchanan's 4 interceptions, Green Bay won their third game. Buchanan's final theft covered 77 yards and closed out a 24-3 Packer victory. San Diego, on the other hand, not only lost the game, but head coach Tommy Prothro, who resigned and was succeeded by Don Coryell. When the Oakland Raiders meet the New England Patriots, about the only thing surer than a Steve Grogan scramble is an Oakland hit, a trend that was repeated upon several occasions last Sunday evening. Oakland built a 2-touchdown lead in only the first quarter behind Ken Stabler's swift and sure strikes to Dave Casper. By the fourth quarter, however, New England had tied the score at 14 and was looking towards Russ Francis for the win. Though this was not ruled a fumble, New England eventually squandered the good fortune. Yet with barely a minute remaining, opportunity knocked once more, and this time Patriot cornerback Mike Haynes answered. The Patriots were not about to let this turn of events escape them, as quarterback Steve Grogan carried New England 28 yards to the Raider 3-yard line. From here, with but 19 seconds remaining, the victory was but a leap away for Sam Bam Cunningham. The 21-14 win served as a reminder that the New England Patriots have the potential to be a great football team. Whether they continue to develop this ability, however, remains to be seen. With their wing tee offense in full gear, the Kansas City Chiefs have taken an overland route towards the goal of returning to the thoroughfares of the NFL. Against mighty Denver last week, such methods enabled the Chiefs to match the Broncos yard for yard and point for point through 4 full quarters. Tony Reed's touchdown gave Kansas City visions of an upset, but the resourceful Broncos weren't about to let that happen. Throughout the afternoon, Denver kept pace with the Chiefs, controlling the tempo of the game with 357 offensive yards. Though they never gained the leverage to pull away, when the game spilled into overtime, Denver had the momentum they needed, marching 60 yards in 15 plays to a 23-17 conquest. Like all good teams, the Broncos did what they had to do. It was in keeping with the style that made them AFC champions a year ago. For Kansas City, on the other hand, it was a reminder of how far they have come and how far they have to go. The Baltimore Colts have traveled a winding path of triumph and disaster so far this season. They shuffled off to Buffalo last week, hoping to buy some more time while waiting for quarterback Burt Jones' injured shoulder to heal. The Bills, however, were not in a selling mood as number 47 Curtis Brown contributed 102 yards to the Colts' early season misfortunes. Brown's uncharted course led to the Baltimore end zone, an area which has been visited all too frequently this season. And with Jones out, the Colts have been hard-pressed to create scoring opportunities of their own. An occasional block punt is nice, like this one recovered by Reese McCall for 6 points. But it hardly takes the place of having an experienced quarterback under center. The Bills don't have a problem in that area because number 12, Joe Ferguson, has been the starter for 5 years. Unfortunately, a large chunk of Buffalo offense left when O.J. Simpson was traded to San Francisco. So now Joe has to prove he can produce without the juice. The Colts defense didn't make it easy, but Ferguson aired out his passing game with 2 touchdown strikes. This one to tightrope walking Frank Lewis. It was all good for a double behind the back 24-17 victory over the still luckless Baltimore Colts. Down in rainy Tampa, Florida, dwells an infant franchise that knows all about hard luck stories. But the baby Tampa Bay Bucks might be coming of age as the ball begins to bounce in their favor. Last week, the Bucks took on Atlanta in a game-long downpour that left Falcon kicker Fred Steinfort, number 1, looking at the soggy turf in amazement, while Tampa Bay was finding a new way to win. Number 40, Mike Washington, picked up the blocked field goal and plenty of blockers on the way to a 79-yard touchdown. It had taken 28 games for the first 2 Tampa Bay wins. Now the second 2 had come in only 4 weeks of a new season as the Bucks whipped Atlanta in the rain 14-9. Meanwhile, their sister expansion team sat high and dry in the Seattle Kingdome, and Seahawks coach Jack Patera had every reason to smile, with quarterback Jim Zorn, number 10, leading the AFC in passing percentage. But the Detroit Lions secondary made the most of their one allowable chuck on number 80, Steve Largent, and Zorn kept running out of time. The Lions picked Zorn's passing pocket 6 times, but the resilient and resourceful youngster is from Richard Nixon's hometown of Whittier, California, and like Nixon, it's hard to keep him down. Zorn started sprinting out to avoid the Lion rush, allowing Largent more time to get open. Detroit's defense had entered the game ranked 2nd in the NFC, but Zorn salved it for 3 touchdown passes and one nifty touchdown sprint en route to a 28-16 Seattle victory. Many NFL old-timers have been ignoring the evidence filtering in from out-of-the-way Seattle. But with dashing young heroes like Steve Largent and Jim Zorn, a new star is rising in the great Northwest.